This is Riddles Court, just off Edinburgh's Royal Mile. This whole building, 2 courtyards and the rooms around them, belong to one merchant family, the McMorrans. It's a very large dwelling by the standards of old Edinburgh, and they were a very affluent family. By the 16th century, Edinburgh's merchants were doing very well for themselves. They were as rich as a lot of the minor nobility. And this did not go unnoticed by King James VI of Scotland. Now, James VI liked living in the style of a king, but he didn't like paying for his lifestyle. He preferred to get other people to help him out with that. So it wasn't uncommon for him to go to prominent families such as the McMorrans and say, "Wonderful news! You are going to host the next royal banquet." And to be fair, it was in many ways wonderful news. If you had had the king as a guest in your house, then all the other merchants would want to be your best friends, so you'd do better business deals than you might otherwise do. There's also the possibility of the young people in your family meeting young nobility and matches being made. And on the whole, the nobility were on board with this as well, because they had the prestige, but the merchants had the money, so there was an advantage to both sides. But it was a horrifically expensive undertaking. It's not just the food and the drink, and they are expensive enough. And of course, everybody is going to need a new outfit if they're going to meet the king. But there's also new napkins, new tablecloths, new plates, new glassware, new knives, new spoons, new carpets, new chairs, new tables. You redecorate the entire house. Building works were undertaken for that one night. So behind me there's an external stair, and a balcony was put across the end of the courtyard there for that one evening. So the king and his guest, on this occasion it was his brother-in-law, the Duke of Holstein, they came into the courtyard through the bottom door, up one flight of stairs. There are 2 rooms there that are decorated with the king and the Duke of Holstein's arms. They're there for maybe 15 minutes, a wee drink and a wee biscuit, getting their heads together, and then they go up and out onto the balcony, where they stand for a few minutes and wave at the crowd that is gathered below. The crowd gathered below do what crowds are inclined to do when kings wave at them, which is shout hooray a bit. So there's about 5 minutes of waving and hurraying, and then they go into the building across the courtyard where they actually have the banquet, and it's all new furniture, all new carpets, freshly decorated, etc., etc. Now, the crowd gathered here below are not here purely out of patriotism, you understand. There is a tradition with this sort of a banquet that you prepare far more food than your guests can reasonably eat. So at the end of the banquet, there are loads of leftovers. Those are sent down to the kitchen and at the very end distributed to the crowd waiting below. And it is well worth standing in a freezing cold courtyard for 3 or 4 hours yelling hooray every time anybody wearing a fancy cloak comes out onto the balcony to take the air, because at the end of that time you get a meal you would not normally dream of. Rich meats, wine sauces, cream sauces, sugar. Sugar was so expensive in the 16th century. So, hooray for King James VI, where's the food?